Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything from hair to fashion to skincare products. We'll talk about the latest trends in makeup, hairstyles, and anti-aging remedies. And we'll cover all of the newest fashion trends. If you have an interest in or questions about the beauty and fashion trends that might work best for you, the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast has got you covered.
Welcome to GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How's it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Like I said, my name is Alyssa Jo. I am super excited to be here. Some of you may recognize my voice from the Life and Happiness podcast or the America Still Beautiful podcast, but I am literally so excited to be sharing beauty tips with you today. I grew up working in the beauty industry, I guess. My first job was working at a hair salon, and then after that, I was actually a stylist assistant, so I learned everything to do with hair. I was basically a hairstylist myself without going to school, and then I was in a front-end managing position at a hair salon for 3 years, and at that hair salon, we had all different types of aesthetics, and so I learned all about waxing and permanent makeup and eyelashes and pretty much everything you need to know. So I am super passionate about beauty, about products, and basically just things that make us feel good. I think it is so important that we feel beautiful in our own skin. And I am a very strong advocate in doing whatever you want or feel like you need to do to feel beautiful in your own skin. So I know that I have done so many things over the years, which one of them I'm going to be talking about today, that makes me feel beautiful in my own skin. And it's so important that you feel good and that you feel just good about yourself and beautiful when you look into the mirror. So I'm super excited to be here today to share some of my beauty tips with you. So with that all being said, I do know a lot about hair, and one specific thing I do know about hair is hair extensions. From my first job working as a receptionist in a hair salon, I have literally had hair extensions off and on since then. So that was starting in high school. I have hair extensions in my hair right now. So today what I thought I would do is go over some different types of hair extensions with you, pretty much the main hair extensions that you can get these days, the most popular. I'm going to be going through the pros, the cons, the do's, the don'ts. Hopefully, if you're ever thinking about hair extensions, maybe this will give you a better idea of what is going to best fit you and your lifestyle and your hair type as well. So I'll go all through that as well. I'm going to talk about my own personal experience with hair extensions. I've tried 3 different types of hair extensions. I'll talk about what I have on my head right now. I'll talk about what I've had in the past, my, tips and tricks and things that I found, because surfing the internet doesn't always do it justice, right? You learning from somebody that literally has them on their head, I think is super crucial and important. Hair extensions are a very wonderful thing. Like I said, I'm a strong advocate of anything that makes you feel beautiful, and hair extensions make me feel beautiful. So I totally understand. Maybe you're somebody that has hair extensions in right now, or you're thinking about it. I hope today I will answer all of your questions and give you more of a clear understanding of what works best for you, and maybe I'll inspire you to get some hair extensions. Okay, so with all that being said, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to go through the different types of hair extensions first of all, and the first one I want to talk about is fusion or pre-bonded hair extensions. So these kind of extensions are pretty much great for all hair types. These are actually what I have in my head right now, or on my hair right now. So these type of hair extensions, they're applied to the hair with a heat gun, okay? The hair, basically they come in strands of hair, and the hair strands have a pre-glued end to it. Usually it is a keratin glued end, so it's not terrible for your hair at all. And then it's actually melted onto your hair, onto your natural hair. So when the stylist or whoever is applying these extensions for you, they will take a piece of your hair, of your natural hair. They'll take the strand of the extension, taking a glue, like it's kind of like a glue gun. I know my hairstylist has literally just used a mini flat iron for this process as well. And they basically just kind of warm up the glue a little bit, and it glues on to your hair. I know that doesn't sound healthy, and yes, this might not be the healthiest option for your hair when it comes to hair extensions, but trust me, there are worse ones out there. So with that being said, I'm going to list some pros and cons, and the first pro is that these hair extensions are, of course, a great way of getting longer and fuller hair. These ones last a very long time, depending, of course, what brand and what type of hair extension you get, but these do last a very long time. They hold very firmly into your own hair. They're great for coarse and thick hair, but also fine hair as well. I find that I'm a little bit kind of somewhere in the middle. I have a lot of hair, but it's really, really fine. So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I really like these. I think they're so natural. These are the most natural extensions I've ever had, but I will get more into that later. The cons of these hair extensions, though, is that it does involve glue, okay? And so that doesn't sound healthy, like I mentioned, gluing something on to your natural hair. Because the removal process can basically kind of tear some of your own hair out. That's really where the downside of this comes in. But if you do have a stylist who is experienced with fusion or pre-bonded hair extensions, I wouldn't be too worried. Of course, you're going to be going to somebody that knows what they're doing. At least I really hope you are. Of course, it requires a certified technician to do this. You cannot do this yourself. These are not type of hair extensions that you can buy at your local beauty store and just throw them in your hair. You definitely need a professional to put them in and take them out so that you're not damaging your hair. So with these pre-bonded hair extensions, it does involve, of course, the heating in order to melt it. And you're not heating the end of your hair, right? Of course, you're going to put the bond more at your root, right? So then when your hair grows out, it's growing out with it. So it's not that it fries your hair off or anything like that. I really think it's the removal process that can be the most damaging. But what I love about these specific hair extensions is I can throw my hair back into a ponytail. I work out a lot, and so I like to throw my hair back into a tight ponytail, right? And so I find that with these ones, it looks super natural. You can't see the bonds at all, so you can't really tell that I have hair extensions in at all, which of course you don't. If you're getting hair extensions, you don't really want people to know, right? It's a little beauty secret that a lot of us do. And I find with these ones, it becomes very natural for throwing your hair up into a ponytail. So if you are someone like me who needs to throw your hair up into a ponytail quite often, I highly suggest these ones. And of course, they're not supposed to damage your hair. Any hair extension is not supposed to damage your hair. But that doesn't mean you aren't guaranteed that your hair will not end up being damaged. But that's with any type of hair extensions. Like I said, if you have someone that is professional, that is doing it properly, that knows what they're doing, it's not going to damage your hair. You're not going to lose all of your hair. But of course, you need someone who knows what they're doing. So yeah, this is, for me, my favorite type of hair extension. I'll get a little bit more into my experience a little bit later, but I just want to say that this to me is my favorite, but I know some people hold off from this specifically just because of the glue and the heat that it takes to apply them. So the next type I'm going to talk about is tape-in. And I have to say, this is my least favorite type of hair extension. This is the first type of hair extension that I ever got when I was first working at the hair salon. I find that these all hair extensions are expensive. These ones to me at the time seemed more affordable. So basically what these tape-in extensions do, it's about an inch wide. And it's placed like a sandwich in your hair. Okay, so you take 2 wefts of these hair extensions and your hair goes in between the 2 wefts. And then the hairdresser needs to be placing them, of course, straight onto your head, and there's a very specific amount of hair that needs to go in between the extensions. So once again, this is not recommended to do by yourself. You do need somebody who is going to help place them properly and put the right amount of hair in between them. So yeah, not something that you can do alone. The placement of these extensions really makes a huge difference if they're going to look natural. A lot of people say that they think these ones look the most natural, and I do agree. When your hair is down, these can look pretty natural because it lays flat to your head, right? So it does lay flat to your head, but what I don't like about these ones specifically is that when I used to pull my hair up with them, I found that you saw the tape, you saw like the bond at the end because it's quite wide, it's quite like aggressive. So when you're pulling your hair up, yes, I definitely pulled my hair up and I was able to hide it, but it took a lot more effort for me to put my hair up. And when I'm throwing my hair into a ponytail, it's because I want to be lazy, right? It's because I do not feel like doing my hair. And I found that it took me more work to put my hair into like a nice high ponytail or even a bun or anything like that, where you couldn't see the extensions. It took me a long time. It took me longer than just like I would have had to like blow dry and curl it or something like that. So the good thing about these ones too is that it is really fast to apply. The fusion or the pre-bonded extensions, they take quite a while to apply them and to take them out. Those appointments can last anywhere from like 2 to 6 hours. Like I have sat in the hairdresser chair for quite a long time doing my fusion ones. But with the tape in, it's pretty easy. It can literally take like 20 to 40 minutes for volume applications, about 45 to 60 minutes for a full length application. The best thing about these, of course, is that there's no heat or tools required for them. So the wefts of hair come with the tape on them. Your hairdresser will literally just peel back the adhesive, I guess, take off the like wrapper of it, and sandwich your hair in between. Taking care of these hair extensions I found was a little bit more difficult. I am going to dive in exactly how to take care of all hair extensions a little bit later after I go through these, but I did find that a con of these was that I really did not enjoy taking care of these. Shampooing was really difficult, brushing my hair was really difficult, and like I said, the throwing my hair up was really the most annoying part for me with these ones. And then when you're removing these, the tape or the adhesive that is on these extensions is medical grade, of course, for that it stays in. And your stylist will use like an oil to remove them, or like a very specific like serum to remove them. But the downfall of these ones too is that, you know, when you're like on a day-to-day basis, we just shed hair. It's super natural when you brush your hair, when you're moving, like it's so natural for us to shed hair. It's what we do. Like we shed hair every single day. But when you have tape-in extensions, your hair almost doesn't shed during this time, and it actually gets stuck in the tape, or it feels like it gets stuck in the tape, and you might not be able to notice. But as soon as your stylist is taking out these extensions, because of course your hair grows, so after about 6 to 8 weeks you have to get them moved back up on your head, right? And so when they take them out and they move them up, you will find that it looks like you're losing clumps of hair, and it is terrifying. And I remember the first time that this happened to me, when my hairstylist was moving them up on my head, she took them out and she brushes it out, and there's like literal like clumps almost coming out of my head, and I was like, what is going on? Like, am I losing my hair? And she explained to me it's because like we always shed our hair naturally, right? But because of the tape that's on our head, that's onto our hair, we're not shedding that hair. So when we remove that tape, we remove that adhesive, all that extra hair that should have fallen out of our head comes out now. It's already kind of fallen in there. It's like fallen out, but it's stuck to the adhesive. I hope that makes sense, okay? It's time for a little bit of a break, but when we get back, I'm going to jump into the other different types of hair extensions. I'm going to go into the the aftercare of your hair extensions, figure out kind of maybe what works best for you, and then just more about my experience with these extensions, and hopefully it can inspire or better your own self-care hair extension routine. So stay tuned. I will be right back. Okay, guys, I am patiently waiting for my order from Linens and Hutch. Linens and Hutch is a family-owned company. They specialize in everything for your bed. So when I went onto their site, I'm thinking, okay, I want something that's going to match my bedroom, but I'm also thinking long-term. What if I change things up? What if I move around? I want to find colors and patterns that will work. And then I looked at all of the color options, and oh my gosh, it took me so long to decide because all of the colors are absolutely stunning. And not only that, they're so on trend. All of the patterns will seriously never go out of style. So I had such a hard time choosing from all these amazing colors. And not only are the products going to look amazing, but these products are hypoallergenic and ideal for sensitive skin. My skin is so sensitive, so I cannot wait to try these out. Since you are a GSMC Beauty Tips listener, though, you can head on over to linensandhutch.com/beauty, enter in the promo code GSMC Beauty, and you will be receiving 60% off store-wide. Go check out all these on-trend colors I'm raving about.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast. My name is Alyssa Jo. I am your host. I know my name is new, so I thought I would mention it again. We're talking all about hair extensions today. And just went over fusion and bonded hair extensions, now tape-in extensions. Now let's go into the sew-in or the weave extensions. I have definitely not had this type of hair extension in my head before, but if you have coarse, curly, or thick hair, these sew-in or weave extensions are ideal for you, okay? So basically, how these extensions are applied is that the client's hair is braided to create a base for these extensions, and then the wefts are sewn into the braids using a needle and a thread. I know it sounds really weird. You need a very specific stylist to do this. Not a lot of stylists are certified in sew-in or weaves. If you do want to find this type of hair extension, you might have to go on a little hunt for a stylist. It's not as common. But the pros of these hair extensions is that slipping will not occur unless the braids become loose. So you can use oil or silicone-based products for your hair, whereas in the other hair extensions, you absolutely cannot use those products. But I will jump into that later. These are most suitable for your thick or coarse hair, not recommended for fine hair. There's no heat or glue that is required for the application, which of course is a positive thing. And then the con is that this application can take several hours. Think about it. Someone is literally sewing hair into your hair. Like, it can take a very long time. If the hair extensions are also not washed regularly, it can get very dirty and cause infection. I have seen some pretty tragic stories working at hair salons with this happening. These extensions also may be uncomfortable and they can cause headaches because they're quite heavy. There's limited hairstyling options. Throwing your hair in a ponytail might become a little bit difficult. And then just those tight braids that are on your head to apply these extensions can cause tension and headaches. It can cause some of your hair to fall out too. But it all depends on you, your hair type, your body type, all these different things, okay? So I have 2 more different types of hair extensions to mention before we go into the aftercare and a little bit more about my experience. The next one is clip-in extensions. I have used clip-in extensions for a short period of time. This is actually something I'm going to be investing in quite soon now because it is basically most suitable for those people who just want maybe those special occasions or when parties come up. A lot of people have clip-in extensions for their weddings or things like that because you can just throw them in yourself. You can remove them you need to remove them at nighttime. It's basically like a day wear, right? So the pros of these is that it's the versatility of having these type of hair extensions because it's the option to put them in and take them out on a daily basis. And so if you don't want hair extensions all the time, 24/7, this is definitely the type of hair extension for you. It is great for all hair types. I'm not kidding. You have fine hair, you have thick hair. It does not matter what kind of hair you have. You can find clip-in extensions that will work for you. If you do have finer hair, it might be a little bit more difficult because, of course, the clip-in is a little bit thicker. So you need enough hair to be able to cover that clip so that it's not visible. But when you're putting in your clip-in extensions, 9 times out of 10, you will probably have your hair down unless you maybe have it in like a high ponytail and stuff. But another pro with clip-in extensions is that you can really place them exactly where you want to place them. So when you buy clip-in extensions, you can go to your hairstylist and what they will do, because when you buy clip-in extensions, they're all the same length. But most of our hairs are not all the same length. We usually have layers in the front, right? Our back is usually quite longer, maybe layers throughout, depending on what type of hair you have. So when you buy clip-in extensions, you go to your stylist and they basically custom cut the extensions for your own haircut. So the best thing to do with clip-in extensions is when you go to your stylist and you just ask them, please put them in, cut them to my hair length or cut them to the length that you want, the thickness that you want, whatever the case is. And then you can get your stylist to actually label the clip on them. So right side, left side, right back, left back, all those different types of things, so that when you go home, you can do it by yourself quite easy. And then after a while, after a few applications yourself, you'll get the hang of it and you'll just learn exactly what clip goes where. But for maybe a little while, you might have to really pay attention to the labels that your hairstylist put on them. I hope that's making sense. Another pro to this is that you have the ability to change your hair color or style very, very often. With all different types of hair extensions, if you're having natural hair compared to synthetic hair, natural hair, you can dye those extensions. Most of your stylists will dye those extensions, of course, to customize it to your hair color. But clip-ins are really fun because you can get funky colors. You can clip in some pinks, some blues, whatever you want to do. I used to have some pink colors in my hair, which was super, super fun, but it doesn't have to be all the time because maybe you can't have that kind of funky hair at your day job, but when you go out, you want to bring out your pink, wild hair side. So I think that's really fun with clip-in extensions. You can be really creative with them, which I think is such a positive thing. The cons, though, of the clip-in extensions is that it cannot be attached to your hair for a very long period of time. That's why it is a day wear. You need to be taking them out before bedtime. It is not super suitable for thin or fine hair because the clips in the base can be too bulky, like I mentioned before, or it can become too heavy for your hair as well, which can cause headaches. Clip-in extensions can last a very long time when you have proper care and maintenance of them. When you're taking them out every night, when you're brushing them properly, you're washing them properly, they will last you quite a long time because it's not an everyday wear. And if you store them properly, that'll last you a very long time as well. So yeah, now the last type of hair extension I want to talk about is the beaded or it's also known as cold fusion. And this hair extension method, basically it's where small pieces of your hair are pulled through a small bead or a lock, and then it's clamped shut with hair extension pliers. So the pros to this is that the individual strands can move a little more naturally because you're not having such a big clump of hair. There's no heat or glue that is needed for the application. These extensions can last up to 6 months, which is really awesome. These hair extensions are reusable, and any extensions that may slide down or off can be fixed in just about an hour by an experienced technician. Once again, this is definitely a method that needs to be applied by a professional. It is not something that you can do by yourself. The con for this too, though, is that the application time is around 2 to 6 hours, so it's a little bit longer. If beads or the locks are not placed appropriately, they can be very visible, or they can slip more easily than any other method as well. Some people also may experience discomfort or an itchy scalp within the first couple weeks after the application, which is never fun. Not the best for thin and fine hair because the beads or locks can be more visible through your own hair, and the application requires a high learning curve, so it really has to be applied by a professional and removed by a professional. It is very specific, this type. You can definitely not be doing this by yourself. So those are the main types of hair extensions that are popular right now, that are out. Those are the pros and cons. Now, it's time for another break, but when we get back, I'm going to be giving you more of some general tips of taking care of these extensions, maybe finding out a little bit more what will work best for you, and talking about my experience a little bit more with these extensions. So stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. I have lots more information to share with you. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast. We're on the last stretch of today's episode. I have lots more information to jam pack into it, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So I went over all the different types of hair extensions, kind of what's best for each hair type, those pros and cons. Now let's talk a little bit more about taking care of your hair extensions. And there's some broad generalized tips that I can give you that are going to be that can apply to all types of hair extensions. And then of course there are more specific things for each one, but most of them can kind of generalize over these main tips. And so the absolute main tip I can give you is brushing your hair, but brushing it properly. So the thing with hair extensions, right now I have my fusion or bonded hair extensions in, and they're amazing. I love them. My favorite type of hair extension. But your hair grows, obviously, right? And so when we have tape-in extensions every 6 to 8 weeks, we get them moved back up. Same kind of thing happens with your fusion or your bonded extensions as well as your bead extensions. You have to get them moved back up. with the Fusion ones, you can reuse them. It depends what kind of hair that you get, right? The quality of hair that you get. I always will recommend buying natural hair, like natural human hair, compared to synthetic hair. Synthetic hair will not last you as long. It's usually about a one-time kind of go around. So, but with all that being said, brushing your hair is super important. So as your hair grows out, from your scalp to where the bond is, there's going to be some distance, some length, right? And so if you're not properly taking care of your extensions, you can get mats in that as well, especially with the Fusion and the bonded extensions. I really find that you have to make sure you have the right type of hairbrush to brush out that hair that's in between the bond and your scalp. Once your hair, of course, starts to grow out, because when they're first applied, they're applied really tight to your head, like to your scalp, right? So you got to make sure that you're using the right hairbrush, and hair extensions can get very knotty very quickly, and that is literally the biggest killer when it comes to hair extensions in general. It's those tangles. So you have to make sure that you are brushing your hair often, every single day. I brush my hair probably 3 times a day, but that's just because I'm a little crazy sometimes with my hair. But in the morning, before you go to bed, make sure you're brushing it correctly. There are specific hair brushes that you can get, literally called like hair extension brushes. Talk to your hairstylist to see maybe what works best for you. But I am using a wet brush right now, because I find that the bristles are working really, really well with my Fusion extensions, and then I can brush out the hair that's in between the bond and the scalp, since my hair has been growing out, and then I can avoid those mats. But avoiding tangles, avoiding knots is super, super crucial in taking care of your hair extensions. Also, you cannot use silicone or oil-based products, okay? You want sulfate-free shampoos, products, leave-in conditioners. I don't care what you use, it needs to be sulfate free. Of course, I did mention the weave or the sew-in one. You can use silicone or oil-based products. I still do not recommend it. I think you should not be using any products with silicone or oil-based. Basically, this is because, think of your hair extensions, there's bonds, especially like tape-ins and stuff, right? And even the Fusion ones that I have right now, if I put a bunch of oil to them, they're going to slide out. That's literally what hairstylists use to remove them. So think about it. If you have like an oil-based shampoo or like a silicone-based shampoo, you're slowly washing out your hair extensions because they're going to get looser and looser. Those bonds will start to weaken with that oil or with the silicone, and then it'll slide out a lot quicker. So look for sulfate-free products, and your sulfates will be listed as SLS or ALS in the ingredients. So make sure when you're buying products to check those out, or of course just talk to your hairstylist. Go to a hair salon. Most of the products in hair salons these days are sulfate-free, but talk to your hairstylist. It's just those like drugstore shampoos and conditioners and stuff that carry a lot more silicone or oil-based. So make sure you are going to be using the proper products. Think of it this way: if you're going to be spending so much money on your hair extensions, you want to make sure that you're also, like, you got to spend the money on the good quality products as well, because you got to take care of them. Hair extensions aren't cheap. I wish I could kind of go through the prices with you for all of these, but it varies so much depending on where you are, what kind of stylist you have, what kind of hair you got. If it's synthetic, if it's natural, way you're applying it, how long it takes to apply. Like, there's so many factors that go into it. So the best tip that I can give you for cost is going in for a consultation. I would never suggest getting hair extensions if you do not have a consultation with the stylist beforehand. It's super crucial. You can talk about which type of hair extension might work best for you. Then you can really figure out the price point, and all of that stuff. The next thing is shampooing your hair and conditioning your hair. So you don't want to get that conditioner or the shampoo right on the bonds, because that's another way that it can slip out easier. When I had my tape-in extensions, shampooing my hair was the worst thing ever. I never felt like my hair was clean, because you obviously are shampooing kind of in between the bonds, and it's definitely possible. You can definitely do it. I just found that like the bottom layer of my hair was just like never clean. So I actually started to shampoo my hair in sections, just like you would like straighten or curl it and you would like pin it up in like 3 sections or 2 sections. I was literally shampooing my hair like that because that felt like the only way I could keep it clean. With the fusion or the bonded extensions that I have in right now, I don't even think about it when I'm shampooing, to be completely honest with you, because the bonds are so tiny. Like I can feel them when I touch my hair. But I just feel clean because they're not in the way. So I don't feel like I'm like really working around them as much because they're so small. Whereas in like the tape-in ones, the bond that's attached to your hair is so wide and like long that it's pretty much impossible not to feel it or think about it. So that was a really one thing that I did not like about tape-ins. I just never felt my hair was cleaning. If you are somebody that really needs to scrub your scalp, like really, really scrub it, I really do not suggest tape-ins. I suggest in the beads or the fusion. Those you can really scrub your scalp and feel clean. Also, when you first get your hair extensions, pretty much all types of hair extensions, you might feel a little bit of pain after. That sounds really terrible, but it's just because especially if it's your first time getting hair extensions or your first time in a while, it's quite heavy. Your scalp is not used and your hair is not used to that weight of those extensions on them. So you might get a tension headache. You also might just be a little bit itchy. Sometimes that can be from the adhesive, the application from it. The weight of the extensions, once again, it can kind of make your scalp a little bit itchy, but usually that goes away after a couple days. If you have itchiness for longer periods of time, I would definitely go back to your stylist and talk to them. Another thing is you have to make sure that you're sleeping in braids or a bun. You never ever want to sleep in your hair extensions just free. And this was really hard for me to wrap my head around because I do not sleep well with my hair in a ponytail or my hair in a bun. I cannot fall asleep that way. It's just something I need to be loose and free. So what I usually do now is I put 2 braids in on the sides with like little elastics at the end, and I find that I can fall asleep better that way. It's just this way you're avoiding the knots, you're avoiding the tangles. So always, always, always sleep with braids in or with a bun if you can do that, if you're able to sleep like that. Of course, the clip-ins though, you never want to sleep in. It's just not good for your hair. Even if you braid them, it's just not good. You could ruin the clip-in. You can ruin the hair. It's just not good. You don't want to sleep in them. Of course, heat protection is also very crucial when it comes to hair extensions. Think of it, especially if you have natural hair extensions, which I do highly suggest. If you have natural hair extensions, it's natural hair. It's just like your natural hair on your head. You have to make sure that you're using correct heat styling protection products if you're going to use your flat irons and your curling irons and your blow dryers and all of that. Having hair extensions is so much fun because you can do so much more with it. Like my hair type, I have hair probably like just around my shoulder length, but like I said, it's fine, but I have a lot of it, and I just found that I couldn't get the curls I wanted with it, and I couldn't do all these fun things with it that I really wanted to do. So with my extensions, I use them mostly for length, but also for thickness, and I just find that I can do a lot more fun hairstyle. So if you love playing with your hair, you love, switching things up a little bit, hair extensions are great for that because you can just do so much more. It just brings so much more versatility to your hairstyles. Another thing is to do not leave your hair wet all the time, okay? If you are somebody who always air dries, hair extensions might not be for you. I think the fusion and the bonded, or like the bead ones, you probably need a little bit more careful. The fusion, the bonded, the weave is probably okay, but the tape in, I think the beads wouldn't be as good. You don't want to leave your hair soaking wet all the time because that water will get into those bonds and just weaken it again, and it'll shorten the time that you have those extensions in your hair. So towel dry, really try to dry it. If you can, blow dry your hair, even just a little bit. Like if you are somebody who likes to leave your hair naturally dry, you don't have to blow dry your whole head. Just blow dry the hair that's near the bonds, so that this way you're not leaving that water residue in the bonds for it to loosen up. So you don't have to blow dry your whole head, flip your hair around, just blow dry basically almost like your scalp, like your roots. And so you're only getting the part that's the bond dry, so that you're not going to leave that water residue there. Always make sure that you have a good leave-in conditioner and hair mask. Hair extensions can get really dry. Think of it, right? Because we don't have natural hair oils going to those extensions, right? Because it's not attached to our head. So I really suggest finding a good hair oil. I know I'm saying avoid hair oils, like void oil-based products, but like an argan oil to put on your ends is totally fine. You just don't want to put an oil anywhere near the bond. So, but sometimes I will put an argan oil on the ends of my hair after I curl it or at night. I will always do a hair mask as well. I do a hair mask about twice a week to keep these extensions looking natural too, because they really will they will fry up, they will dry up really easily because we don't have those natural oils from our scalp. So just to leave you with a couple things that I really like to do to take care of my extensions, I really like to use Kevin Murphy Hydrate Me shampoo and conditioner. I highly suggest using a shampoo and conditioner that is hydrating. I also have used the Davines Nourishing line. I don't know if you've heard of these brands. I'm sure you have. They're quite popular. I also really like the Unite Leave-In 7 Seconds conditioner. It's not oily. It's very natural. It has a heat protectant in it, so I really enjoy that. Basically, when it comes to hair extensions, you want to take care of them just like your own hair. You want to make sure that you're going to regular visits with your stylist, that you're getting those checkups, making sure that your hair is in good quality, making sure that it's not tugging at your own natural hair. Hair extensions are wonderful, but unfortunately, you can't have them in all the time. They can be healthy for a year. Like I've had my hair extensions now in for a year, these fusion ones, which is now why I'm going to be switching to clip-in extensions, because I love having my long hair. I feel so beautiful with my long hair, but it is just not the healthiest to have in for like years upon years, and just getting, even though I get them switched, every few months I get them switched to different extensions and I move them up and all that good stuff that I need to do, I take care of them properly, it's still weighing down on your natural hair and your scalp, so it's not healthy for super long periods at a time. I do also suggest Bellamy extensions or Remy extensions, and always using natural hair instead of synthetic hair extensions. Whew, that was so much information. I hope that made sense. I hope it wasn't too scattered all over the place. I really wanted to dive in on all different types of things and hopefully give you kind of just some tips and tricks, and hopefully make you realize maybe what is going to work best for you if you are thinking about hair extensions. Thank you so much for listening to GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I am so happy to be here, like I've mentioned. So please do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you're notified when there's new episodes out. Don't forget to head over to our social media pages to check those out, like and follow, as well as leave a 5-star review. I would love to hear your opinion. I would love to hear if you've had any experience with your own hair extensions, or if this inspired you to get hair extensions. I love that. Like I said, I'm a strong advocate in doing whatever you feel need be to feel beautiful in your own skin. So if you don't like your hair right now, go get some hair extensions and you're gonna feel a whole new vibe of confidence. I promise. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay positive, and always feel beautiful in your own skin. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network, from health and wellness to entertainment and life and happiness to sex and relationships. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast.